Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. You know what I think we should do soon is we should talk about just absolute brutal training, because that's also something that people like to hear about. Talk about just these nasty intervals,
Oh man,
you know?
I should jump into like what I was doing before I got burnt
Oh
out.
boy. Oh
That
boy.
was that was pretty gnarly. Yeah, some animal training sessions for sure.
Yeah.
But now, what coming off of the back of that, what we do want to do today is run through putting together a training plan, like how we think about it. And well, I don't know. This is Matt's idea, so I'll let you explain it.
Yeah. Well, so this is what we do all the time. Like, we're pretty good at building training plans because we've worked with different kinds of athletes in different kind of sports all around the world, and they all have different goals. And we see a lot of things crossing over, right? So we see similarities in goals, even though they might be different kind of events. We see similarities in how much time someone has available. We see similarities in the types of things that people are need, like their weaknesses, their pretty much everything. So we thought what we'd do is we'd combine our forces and build a plan for our hypothetical Steve, which would be pretty fun.
Yeah, so we've got Steve's going to be racing a trail half marathon the week after a mountain bike race. What kind of mountain bike race, Matt?
Let's go with Enduro. Enduro's pretty popular these days, so we can
Yep.
do that. But it
All right.
could just as well be a cross country race as well.
Cool. So for those interested, we're recording the screen like in our videos, so you can check this out on YouTube. We'll put the link in the show notes and share it on Facebook, social media, whatnot. But so Matt's actually brought up my TrainingPeaks account, and yeah, we're going to put together a 6-week plan for the mountain bike runner. So we got, when we're looking at the average athlete we deal with, it's going to be 3 to 4 days, 5 days max. You know, if there's a public holiday or something in there, generally we're looking 3 to 4 days. So Matt, we've got, what's Steve? How is Steve off the couch? Like, or is Steve a fanger?
I think Steve is a weekend warrior.
Yeah,
So Steve's pretty busy during the week. He doesn't have much time, but on the weekends he gets out there and he gets it done.
he gets after it, eh?
Yeah,
Gets
so he's a
those.
bit of a fanger on the weekends, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty normal.
That's pretty standard, yeah. Because I mean, once Steve's taken his 2 kids, Patricia and Giannis, to
Yeah,
school sports and stuff, like he's a bit tired.
yeah,
He might have gone out for some social drinks
yeah,
on the Friday night. Like, got to get it in the weekend. Got to get after it.
yeah,
Got to get
yeah.
fit. Got a couple races coming up this weekend.
Yes, yeah. So this is pretty standard, right? Where there's lots of time available on the weekend, and then within the week there's a lot less time available, a lot more time constraints, more things going on, work, all that. So I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah,
So Steve, we're going to build Steve's plan around what he has available, but we're also going to push him a little bit because normally he doesn't do hardly anything in the week. He does too much on the weekends. We're going to try and balance that out a little bit and keep him consistently training.
yeah. Sweet. All right,
So I'm
Matt.
making
Let's
notes on Steve. So let's talk a little bit more about Steve. So how old is he?
44.
44. Okay. When's his birthday? Doesn't matter.
um, well,
It
like
doesn't.
it's
But Steve, this is it could be a female's name because like the mayor in Rotorua, or it could
yeah,
be a
Steve
male's name.
Chadwick.
So
It is a male though.
oh, okay. So yeah, I think maybe we make that differentiation, even though last week when we talked about when we talked with Mickey about female athlete nutrition, we talked about, well, it's more about the person and not their gender. But we'll say Steve's a male. He is
Or
44.
just like you've probably noticed, Matt, like with the difference between males and females, if you're looking at this 40 to 50 age group, the women aren't out there thrashing themselves like a man is. They don't have the as big an ego attached. Like generally, I see the females as not pushing themselves as much within their interval sessions. But just a little aside there. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I think generally what we see in mountain biking is the females are just as likely to go way too hard. And but you're right with the ego thing. There's a little bit less of that because you know what happens when a bunch of dudes get together, like on a ride. Like you start out going way too hard up a hill, and eventually everyone stops talking because they're all like deep in the pain cave.
Yeah, and then you get to the top and you're like, oh man, that was probably a bit too hard. And you're like, oh yeah, that was too
Yeah,
hard. And you're
yeah,
like, damn it, why didn't we just say that to each other at the beginning?
yeah, yeah. We did that on a road ride. I remember, and I was like, "Dude, you went way too hard on that pole," and you said, "No, you went too hard." Like, oh, I thought it was you, man. You know, it's communication. We just need to communicate.
It's our ego. Like, I don't want to be the guy, right? I don't want to be the person being like, yo, can we slow down?
So funny because we love talking about slowing down, and we made the same mistake. So Steve yeah. Steve makes that mistake too, and that's okay because we're going to get him on track for his enduro race in 6 weeks, and we can make a lot of changes actually. So one of the things Steve definitely wants to do, he wants to mountain bike with his friends twice a week, and they have set days that they go mountain biking.
Cool. So what days are those?
So he definitely always does Wednesday night rides.
Yeah. Is that shuttles or just riding?
Just riding.
Cool.
Maybe the odd shuttle. So Wednesdays, and then also he does a mountain bike ride on the Saturday.
Yeah, sure. Get after Saturdays. That's cool.
So normally this is pretty much all he does, but we're going to push him a little bit more because we know that on the Sunday he doesn't have to be just like laying around on the couch all day. He could do a little bit of exercise, especially if we kind of hold him back a little bit on the mountain bike ride. He won't be as tired, right? So that'd be good because then we can get him to do some running because he's also preparing for this running event.
Yeah, totally. Like the half marathon, like there's no hiding. There's no hiding in running, Matt. You know, you're pushing start to finish. So what we've got, like, when we've got 4 days, he's got 2 of them set. Boom, he's taken out the middle of the week with the Wednesday. So that's like you got to juggle motivation, you know, with these kind of things. And pretty much you take Monday off because it might be flat out, big weekend, whatever, get into it. Tuesday is generally like a good day to put a run, to put like the start of training, because he's always going to go Wednesday riding with the boys. But you start to put things on Thursday, Friday, and one depends on what we've put on Wednesday. It's probably something a little bit harder. You know, he's gone hard with the boys. He's a bit tired. Friday, you're ridden. You know, you're not. You know, you got a big weekend coming up. You might be social Fridays. It's not happening. You know, you can have the best intentions on a Friday evening to shoot out, but
yeah,
you got the whole week behind you.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I understand that one. But yeah, so Tuesday sounds good actually for a run.
Yeah, so we've got
that's
Tuesday
what I would do as well,
and we've got Sunday. Now,
cool.
What's Steve as a runner, Matt?
I don't know. You tell me. This is where we're going to need your expertise.
Okay, so Steve he's fit. He got into mountain biking, but he always, you know, played rugby, played team sports, did a bit of running to stay fit, stay in shape, and then he did, you know, through his like 30s, he banged out a few 10Ks. You know, he is with the local athletics club, doing some cross country stuff with the kids, and then work got in the way, so he just smashed out the odd run, and I mean smashed out the odd run. You know, like every couple of weeks he'd he would go see how he could measure up to his old 5K loop or his old like 8K block around town. He'd just go measure up straight out the gate. And so he can handle the Ks. There's no, he's a resilient guy. He's had running and impact from rugby in the muscles and the joints. So there's no real issues with injuries or anything. Probably, he's not flexible, obviously.
Who is?
So we can't thrash him, but yeah, like a half marathon's definitely going to be pushing him. But within his capabilities, like we're not going into it being like this is to finish. Like he's probably got the goal time of under 2 hours. So that's what Steve would be lining up for sure.
Okay.
It's sub 2 hour.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So now, do we have the what other kind of information? That's that's a pretty broad picture of what we're looking at for Steve, eh?
Sure, but I think one of the things that I would ask Steve is, okay, like what do you find your weaknesses when you're out there on the trail? So if he's going to be racing an enduro race, there's a heavy emphasis on skill. So we would want to find out what skills he thinks he needs to be working on. And generally what we find with Steve is that he just gets really, really tired within an enduro stage. So enduro, you do multiple basically time trials that are downhill all day, and you might be out riding 50 Ks. So it's a pretty big day, but you also need to go hard. And he gets pretty tired at the end of like a 5-minute downhill run, which makes sense because it's pretty hard. But what we know is that if that's what's happening with him, he's probably needs to work on his pacing. So his pacing needs to be better so that he doesn't get super tired and cross-eyed at the end of a stage, because he needs to keep doing them and maintain skill execution while he's riding really fast. So we need to work on that. And just general fitness at all, we can help him improve his ability to be consistent on all of his stages.
Yeah, cool. And another thing I often do as well, pre-chat, like, so I would have, we've sent Steve the email, he's come to us, one of us, blah, blah, grabbed his Strava link, checked him out, and seen what those, his 8K bi-weekly run looks like. And that's where I can get a gauge on probably the pacing strategy and his sustainable pace kind of thing. So yeah, it'll like, and often these days, like with wrist-based heart rate, you can get a reasonable gauge at like actually how hard they're going. So, he's going to say pretty hard, and then I'm going to see an average heart rate of 180. So
yeah, classic.
Yeah. So like that's definitely one, actually, like if they don't already have a TrainingPeaks account or something that we can click into, pretty much that even if they're not using Strava, they've probably signed up once and set up the auto upload. And so it's there,
Yeah.
And that's a really good one for running, especially just to see what's happening. Like obviously it's, but if they don't have a power meter, it's kind of hard with biking.
Yeah.
But
the other thing I always send is I have a pre-training questionnaire, and it gets some of these questions out of the way when we first meet. So it's like, what are your weaknesses? What are the things that you do for fun? And what's your normal training week look like? It's probably like 25 questions. It's a really good way to get this conversation started. Then we link up on TrainingPeaks or Strava, like you said, and then we're pretty much away. So that's where we're at now with Steve.
Cool. All right, Matt. So we've got the first week. How are we going? What's Steve doing Wednesday, Saturday?
Okay. So what we're going to do, actually, we have your TrainingPeaks plan open. So your whole calendar, and we're going to build this live, and you can watch us build it and how we make workouts and things like that. So I am Will's coach. And this is actually the first time I looked at his plan. Unfortunately,
please don't scroll back.
Yeah, we won't give any details on your plan, but so if we do it this way, Will can build the running workouts, and I can build the mountain bike workouts, and we can drop them into the same calendar. So we need to pick a day that we're gonna start the training plan. So I was thinking so that way you don't scroll too far back and show all of your past training. Let's start on June 8th. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay, so usually what I do, this is how I build a training plan, and I'll just put our start date here as a metric. So we know that Steve wants a 6-week plan, so I'll just count ahead and put the last day. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, because like within,
6.
you can put in it as an event, and it gives you like the countdown, weeks to go, which is
Right.
also a pretty cool option.
Yep. So we can just build it here as an event. So this are his events going to be on week 5 and 6 for Steve?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
You don't want it too long, you know?
Yeah. So, oh well, everyone's seeing all these things. My custom fields. That's all right. So this is his half marathon.
Is the half marathon going to come first?
Well, this is the final day of the 6 weeks. So
yeah.
we won't add in any goals. Oh yeah.
Yeah, required. Yeah,
running. Where do I find this trail running? Okay. Select distance. Oh wow. Okay. That's easy. All these running features in TrainingPeaks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, who knew, Matt? Who knew?
So that means that his Enduro is on this Sunday. So
yeah, sure. Sunday, the week before. Busy. It's a busy July for Steve. Yeah. So within the first week, I mean, I'm definitely setting up some kind of baseline test or an introduction to, depends how much data I have on his heart rate or his pace or something like that, where for a guy like Steve, I'm introducing him to heart rate. He's got some kind of Garmin watch, and what I'm going to do is set up his zones for him, because that's most important. And so for setting up heart rate zones, I either use the 180 formula, methadone formula, or I'll use the heart rate reserve formula. And what I've found, like with a mature athlete, is that a mature athlete who's kind of a lifetime-ish athlete, they are far fitter and able to hold a higher heart rate than any age-based heart rate calculation. So heart rate reserve is just, you take your resting heart rate and then you take your max heart rate, and that's your reserve. And we can work out percentages of zones based off of that. Anyway, pretty easy to set up. So I've set that up, and now I'm going to give him a 30-minute zone 2 run. So something, or 5Ks. Depends if he's like a distance guy or a minutes, completion guy. And so, yeah, it's just going to be, and like, what's going to be super interesting for him using the heart rate is like, that's way too slow. And because we don't want to get to a lot of people are pretty excited when they get into a training plan to rip after it. And so we don't want to like fly out of the gates, like pacing in anything endurance sports. You got to ease into it, because you don't want to be 3 weeks in and completely burnt out. So I'll put that in there, Matt. If you want to refresh, that'll come up. And so like with running compared to cycling, running is so demanding on your like biomechanical physiology because of the weight bearing nature of it. So for someone like Steve, 30 minutes, a weekday 30-minute consistently is going to generate like a huge gain in aerobic fitness for him.
That's great.
So we've got our Monday off, pretty standard for a lot of plans. Monday off.
Yeah.
We've got a 30-minute aerobic run, heart rate based run, zone 2. Upper zone 2 is the max limit. And then like with with TrainingPeaks, if he's got a Garmin, it'll actually send it and send his zones straight into his watch, and so it'll beep at him if he goes too hard. So it's a feature that I absolutely love.
The
So
old
what it
beepy watch.
slow down. So what do we got? What do we got on Wednesday, Matt?
So I start every single training plan the same way, and that's with a test time trial. So I
Ouch.
decided for this first mountain bike day to put a time trial just so he could set his cycling training zones. So I use this as a cycling workout, and that's what I put on the Wednesday.
Yeah, and how do you set like a hill climb or like on your local
Yeah.
track? Like a
Yes.
yeah.
So if we open it up, we can see all the details on this workout, and this is exactly how you'd look at it in your TrainingPeaks account. So it's okay to use a mountain bike. If you have a power meter, that's ideal. Don't go by time, because going by time on your time trial, well, yes, it's called a time trial, but we're interested in your physiology for this. So at least have a heart rate monitor. And then what we can do is we can set our training zones based on the average power or the average heart rate or power that we have on this time trial. So TrainingPeaks makes it really easy because we can just drag and drop this into our person. So if I clicked on Will right now, I could go in and mess up all his training zones by changing what Steve's heart rate was for his time trial. I'm not going to do that, but then TrainingPeaks makes it possible for us to have our workouts change the prescription based on our ability at the time. So TrainingPeaks is really good for that. So as our zones change, the workouts will change as well.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, the boys will love geeing up Steve about his time trial on Wednesday, eh? They're
Yeah.
like, oh, Steve's got a new training plan. Get
Yeah.
after it.
They're gonna like tease him and make him feel stupid, like, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
pretty classic,
But
but
they're
then he's
actually
gonna
just
get so
jealous.
fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one, we're going to do it on an uphill, even though he's an enduro racer, because we need to set his zones and we want to track his improvements in his aerobic fitness, because this is what he probably needs the most. So that's what we're going to
How
do.
long? How long's the
Generally, we want it to be around 8 to 20 minutes. So we're not super strict. If there's a hill that takes 9 minutes and 20 seconds for you to get up, as long as you knew where the finish was and you were going at time trial pace the whole time, it's going to be good enough for us to set zones.
Yeah, and you have like, I know I didn't read all the information that came up. Is there like a gradient? Because you don't want like a 22%er, you know?
Yeah. Well, an uphill isn't consistent anyway, so I don't make any rules for that,
Well, no one's
because
going to pick the hardest climb, eh? They know.
no.
They know they want the rideable one.
Yeah. Like if you're walking, you
Yeah.
probably picked the wrong one. But usually on a road or a gravel road, up
Yeah.
a mountain bike trail is probably not ideal.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. Yeah, Steve's probably pretty amped about his Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, rest,
Yeah.
recover. Now we're back in your domain, Matt. Saturday with the boys.
Saturday with the boys. So he's probably still really motivated because this is the first week of his plan, but I want to try and actually hold him back a little bit on his mountain bike ride with the boys to avoid going super hard, because he's going to have to run the next day. So I'm probably going to add in some sort of a skills session. So I have this cool ride that I like to prescribe where you ride goofy. So it's like a skating term, but you head out to the trails and you mostly ride easy within
Yeah.
zone 2.
Yeah.
But on the descents, to make it more challenging, so you're not just sprinting everywhere, you ride with your opposite foot forward. So you start to learn a little bit about yourself as you're going downhill. It's super hard, and he's not going to be able to go as fast as his friends. But that's kind of okay, because it sticks with the whole theme that we have right now of just holding him back a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I do that sometimes. That's a cool one. That is an exciting way to make like a potentially mundane ride like a bit different.
Yeah.
Because you have like a focus point. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so like with the running, it's still going to be a bit of a shock to Steve. And so, normally bread and butter for weekend is going to be a long run. But Steve's like, he hasn't trained for the 4 days in a week, especially a couple runs for a while. So as motivated as he is, and he's going to see this and be a bit like, oh, what's going on? But I've put 30 to 45 minutes, and right at the start of the week, he's like, 45 minutes, no problem. You get to Sunday and you go, whew, thank God there's a range there, like, and we're still using heart rate to hold him back. And he might have noticed just a little bit that it was like, yeah, he just feels it's like, oh, it's a lot nicer not having to run so hard, whereas he was probably holding himself back on Tuesday, on Sunday after a big week. It's like, oh, yeah, man, even just 35 minutes is pretty challenging. And I'm glad I haven't gone so hard. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to set up 30 to 45, and I put notes there for a gradual warm up, and it's built in. If you like get it on your watch, it slows you right down, because someone like Steve, he's not a warm up guy. He's not jogging into it. He's out the gate. Very much. And the other thing that I'll do is say, help him out with his data screens, so that pace, average pace, current pace, anything pace related is not there. So it has, and if you do have your TrainingPeaks linked to your Garmin watch and some other watches, it'll just, the structured workout pops up, and it just has your heart rate, and it has like distance or time to go, which is really cool.
Can you show me this? So we do the same thing for cycling, and normally that's how I prescribe every ride. It'll have this structured workout. So all the rest of the ones that I drop in for Steve are going to be like that. Can you tell me a little bit about how the running one works if I open it up?
Yeah. So open it up, click through to the structured workout.
Click through it?
Yeah. And so what we've got, like, there's like real pros and cons. People love the structured workouts. I love them. It's sent straight to your device, gives you a range. Now, with heart rate, which is what I use for the majority of runners, unless we're, as we'll see later with Steve's plan, focusing on like a specific target pace, you set your range based off of your heart rate threshold. So this is very individual. It's not age-based or anything. It's like, what's your threshold heart rate, which we've figured out earlier. And then, I set a range. So, Steve's warm-up's 70 to 80% of his threshold heart rate. Here it's, well, this is me, but 122 to 140, right? So just a warm-up pace, and then you get into like your main bread and butter of the run, 140, 158. So you have a range, and so you can slow down. You don't have to be the top of it. But
lots of people think they do have to be right at the top.
What is really annoying if you use a heart rate based zone system is downhills. I've had people sprinting downhills to try keep their heart rate up, because their watch is beeping at them. Even in cycling, your power drops down out of a zone, and because you just have a bit of a descent. So, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. And TrainingPeaks has this annoying thing where it takes your heart rate, your threshold heart rate, and I've said it's 80 to 90% of your threshold heart rate, and they relate that to a pace. So like here it says like my aerobic run should be 413 per k, minute per k. Now if I'm running on the road, I could probably do that. I'd need to be feeling pretty good. But if I'm running on the trails, and like I've got that note there, this can be done on the road or the trail. If I'm running on the trails, I'm not running 413s. And so when you upload the workout and you're like, oh man, Will expected me to run, 5-minute Ks, or this plan expected, I didn't run that, but I stayed in my heart rate zones. This isn't working. So, there's pros and cons to it. You can delete that, but it often just reloads it. But that's how they look, Matt. So
yeah, cool. So this will go on your watch then, and you'll have, like, once you start your workout, it'll tell you what heart rate you need to be at. and then it'll tell you when you need to increase for, say, an interval session or a steady run, just like it does on a power meter, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Cool.
that's
Sweet.
exactly it. Yeah.
Cool. All right, great. So that's exactly how the power workouts work and how the threshold heart rate cycling workouts go. So
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. So
That's great. So that's first week out of the way. So what I start to look at now is I start to think, okay, so how far away are we from our event? And I'm thinking, well, we need to make sure that we get into this event fresh. So after I build the first week and we get the testing out of the way, I start thinking already like when we need to be super fit and super fresh. So we're still a few weeks away. That's okay. We'll build this second week probably as normal and start to, I think I'm going to add in some intensity.
okay, well, I'm not doing that in the run for sure.
Okay. No, that's great. Cool. So we're going to rest on Monday, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll keep his structure, and Steve's definitely going to stick to the structure for the first couple days, but then he's going to realize something's going to come up. You know, very, very few, 95% of the people I coach, work with, have written training plans for, are not able to complete them 100%. Does that make sense? 95% of the people can't complete 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So that, yeah, it's flexible, right? Like anything. So
Cool.
yeah,
So
I'm keeping that run, Matt, that 30-minute run.
okay, so we also want to do this one.
Yeah. So
okay. So I'm thinking with Steve, we're going to focus a little bit on his some aerobic intensity. So I might do some tempo stuff.
okay.
So this pretty
So
cool tempo.
what do you mean by, like, why are you putting this in? You've done a time trial, you've done some like trail based skill stuff on the Saturday. It's come around to his midweek ride, and yeah, like, what are you putting in?
Well, so I have this pretty cool tempo hill climb workout that I do, and I really like this one because it's kind of hard, but not super hard. So, but at the same time, what it is it's really steady. And I think that's really important to go steady because that's not what he's doing with his friends. So I've looked at all of his rides with his friends and they're basically just sprinting up every hill, which means they're going really hard at the start and then pretty easy by the end, but it feels like death the entire time. And we don't want him to be doing that. We want him to be able to go pretty at a steady effort, a really steady effort, because that's something that he needs to work on. So within this workout, I also have sprints at the end. I don't really want Steve to do the sprints. This is more of a pro workout. So I'll get rid of that. And I'll keep that cool down in. And he doesn't go off of power. So I'm going to change it to heart rate. So same as his threshold heart rate. And make sure that his zones have changed. So we still have run stuff coming up here in the software. So maybe I'll just save and close this and open it back up and make sure it's not running anymore. Okay. Okay. So it's you must not have cycling heart rate zones in here.
Yeah, well, no, maybe, probably not. I wouldn't. I've never. I had a power meter when I do any of my riding, so I didn't base it off of heart rate.
That's fine.
So,
You know your heart rates anyway. Like I know that when you do these, you know what your target is. So this is just the auto populate feature of TrainingPeaks, and this isn't going to be right for Steve's, but so I'll make sure that I change that when we export this as a training plan for everyone else. But we're going to just stick with probably three 10-minute climb repeats. And they're going to be kind of hard, but not really hard. He'll still be able to hold a conversation on these climbs. And that'll be just over an hour for his mountain bike workout. And he'll be able to blast down the hills in between.
yeah, that's one of the focus points, is like, you get after it, and then you just slow, like you just slow across the ride, and your last downhill becomes, because you got 3 10 minutes that fits pretty well with 3 up and downs, and by the last one you're like pedaling at 40 or 50 RPM,
Yeah.
graveling, sitting at the top for a bit, waiting for like the real unfit mate you've got,
Yeah.
who's like just like it's the middle of winter and he's sweating buckets. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be a really good one for Steve. So we'll hold him back early on his climbs and then make sure that he stays steady throughout, and then also get that downhilling in between.
Yeah, because even if he's with his mates, I know how this looks is, they're all going to take off and his heart rate's going to be like beep, 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 beep. He's like, oh, no, I got to slow down. And then he's actually going to get to the top either at the same time as them or just slightly behind, not like an hour behind.
Yeah. It pretty much won't make any difference for his Strava time, but he'll be able to do it over and over.
Yeah, and this is when the boys start to be like, oh, man, he's getting pretty, he smashed us on that last climb, eh?
Yeah. But then also Steve like smashes them on the descent too. And they're like, what the heck?
It makes no sense.
I always like to capitalize the rest word in a rest day, because if it's a rest day, it's a rest day. Like, resting is resting. So capitalize the word rest. Sometimes I put more details, but pretty much all my athletes know rest, it means rest. So we don't need to go any further than that.
Yeah, I mean, some people are super good at it, and you can write rest, and some people you got to write like a description every single time. Like, this doesn't mean it's the day to paint your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to Saturday. So we got week 2, Saturday. He's heading back out with the boys, and
I know what I want him to do.
Oh, what do you want him to do?
He's going to practice his coasting.
So,
Steve needs to, like, he always gets really tired on the descents, and part of that is fitness, but also part of that is his pacing strategy. So he's going to practice coasting. So he's going to head out for a fun, easy ride, and he's going to practice coasting on all the descents. Because normally what he does with his friends is they get to the top and they're totally destroyed. So they talk about like pretty much nothing for about 15 minutes until they're totally like recovered and the sweaty guy's all good. And then they start with the world's most massive sprint as they get into the descent. And then they're tired within the next, 45 seconds because they used all of their anaerobic work capacity. So what Steve's going to do is he's going to just practice coasting. And this is more of a learning exercise, but it as well as just to make sure that we're holding him back a little bit on the ride itself. So he's going to be able to take this exercise forward to the week after, and he's going to be able to apply it to the next the workout next Saturday.
Yeah.
So what do we have for Sunday then? He's going to be pretty fresh. Like he's not super tired from his mountain bike ride.
Yeah, right. So now's the time, because that's not like you've pulled him back a little bit on the duration of the ride as well. So we have I call it just it's a vague term, but there's a bit of a description in it around a hilly run. Now this is where he's doing a trail half marathon. So there's going to be a lot of change in elevation, a lot of change in direction. So this is a trail based run, and the hill run is, it's 45 minutes to an hour, and it's really focusing on like either one hill, and you can bang it out 5 times. Some people are very like, what do I need to do? Reps. Otherwise, it's a hilly loop where you push the hills and relax the descents. And the focus of it is relaxing the descents and staying like zone 2 or lower on the flats, and I've put a note on cadence, pump the arms, keep the cadence high on the uphills, because it's not like a lot of guys like Steve or athletes who have come in from like, yeah, I'm going to get after it, I'm going to smash this hill. They go for these big strides, which obviously when you're fighting gravity becomes like just so so muscularly fatiguing because of the big muscle recruitment, patterns of it. And then you're heaving, and then like you don't actually run very well on the down, and you're still trying to push it. So yeah, what we have is I put the more specifics in for the athlete. Like when I know, oh yeah, someone like Steve, he can handle 5 minutes, whereas another athlete it might be up to 10 minutes. Someone like myself, I can handle a higher one if you're doing repeats. Otherwise, most people have that hilly loop in their local trail. But the key to it is like pushing the hills and then chilling out.
Cool.
And yeah, focusing on that flow, on the descents, similar to like your coasting thing.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's cool. Great.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good week. That's so we're 2 weeks in, and that's pretty good. So he's averaging around 4 hours per week, which isn't crazy.
Yeah. And so yeah, there's upper and lower limits kind of on those as well,
Yeah, definitely. Because, what I'm thinking when someone has a ride that's an hour and 7 minutes long, that's basically just how it fell because of how I built the warm up and stuff for the power meter, because I like to make it so that you could upload it to be used on Strava if you wanted to.
On Strava?
So,
Swift.
yeah, sorry, Zwift. I just forget all the different thinking softwares. but it's expected that he'll probably be out for an hour and a half. And on this day that he's doing an hour and a half, he's probably going to be out for 2 hours. So just because that's how these social rides end up being, and that's okay. So what are you thinking for the Tuesday run of week 3?
Well, he's just done some hill efforts, so really, honestly, we're pretty much throughout the plan. We're just going to bread and butter it with the 30-minute aerobic run, which is actually going to start to be. It becomes habit, becomes enjoyable, and it becomes ideally the plan. He's adapting while the plan's falling in place. It's the same heart rate zone, but the pace starts to speed up, and so that run progresses over time to be like slightly faster, slightly longer. It's still 30 minutes, but it went from being 5Ks to 5.5Ks, at the same. And so that's a way, if I was checking in on him, I can start to see that the plan's working together and he can start to notice it. Just because like with a harder ride, he's got something specific on Wednesday. We know that that's going to be his midweek specific is going to be biking.
Okay. Cool.
And then we can, he can get his endurance-based stuff, skills stuff on the Saturday. And then we start to get into like, okay, I need to prep for a half marathon.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. That's great. So why don't we just go ahead and build this week, and then we'll talk about what we put in once it's all there.
Yeah. Go through.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so we would just went ahead and we just built the rest of the plan because we'll just talk about what we did within the plan. So you want to talk about week 3, Will?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, Matt, the 30 minutes is the bread and butter. Like that's the way he's just going to improve his what would I call it? That's the way he's going to improve. I'm trying to say the word sustainability, but I guess conditioning. I can't think of the word. Sustainability conditioning. His like muscular conditioning to running and
Yeah.
aerobic fitness, and he's going to build that. If we start to put anything other than like an aerobic run midweek with his targeted session on Wednesday and his targeted session on Sunday, it's too much. And yeah, so with right through to before the race, he's just got 4 weeks of 30 minutes on Tuesday. Very achievable, very comparable, heart rate based. So you can improve. You can increase the pace if you're increasing your fitness. Then through into the weekends, we've got a couple weekends of pace variation because we've got the first 2 weeks introductory back into running, bit of hill intensity, trail specific, and then we've only got 2 weeks before weekends, 2 weekends free before the first enduro, and then after that's the half marathon. So a great workout, love it. Pace variation. There's a lot of pace variation within a trail half marathon. So for the next 2 weekends, 2 Sundays, we've got it's a warm up, and then we've got 10 minutes at threshold. So that is his half marathon intensity, and we're going to kind of target this on the flat so that we're actually going to target the proper demands and paces without being interrupted by the trail. He's got trail skills. He can head out, on Tuesday around the trails. And so that is, to do a 2 hours, he's got to run 540s, 540 minute per K. So we're setting that anywhere from 520 to 540. Again, that'll pop up on his watch. At the end of the 10 minutes, a little bit of a jog walk, and then he's into 4 200s. It's super sharp, fast, and that's going to happen in the trails as well. And that's 200 on, 200 off. Before he repeats that back into, so where I say pace variation, great to get the biomechanical, physiological stimulus of the two ends of the spectrum, especially in a guy that's training. He's only running a couple, I don't want to say only, he's running a couple times a week. We've got to try and introduce all the stimulus within only 4 weeks of time to get him prepped. And by doing a workout where you've got it all in one, if you don't want to look at the predicted time for this, because this is for me. So, my half marathon 10K, it's like low 3 minutes, and my sprints are super, super short, under 3 minute Ks. But for him, it's going to be, a longer hour 10 kind of workout. So that's, although he's got a race for 2 hours, he's just not ready to get after it and run. If we had more time, we could put in some 90-minute or some 15 to 20K aerobic runs. We don't have that time available. He's going to get his fitness from you. So that's his 4 weeks, Matt, before into like 2 race weeks.
Yeah, sweet. This is actually proving to be a pretty difficult athlete to work with, old Steve, because he's asking a lot, actually.
Or to perform well, yeah.
Yeah. But, it's good because we know his weaknesses and adding in your workouts. And then this is exactly how we would do it if we were on our own, too, because I would be thinking, well, he needs to run a little bit, too, but we also need to ride, and his rides can be longer without driving him into the ground. So that's pretty much what has happened as we built this plan.
Yeah. So what have you got for the following, weeks 3 and 4?
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to just have an easy ride in week 3 that where he just tried to use his muscles a little bit differently. So I have this sitting and standing ride that I use, and usually we use it in the winter when we're riding on, what is it, Zwift? What's it called? Yeah, Zwift. And it's really good to break up the ride, but it's good to think about standing more when we're out riding with our friends. So it just alternates every 5 minutes, sitting and standing. It's impossible to do when you're going up and down hills, but this is at least something that he can think about with his friends. And he's going to start using his upper body muscles in a different way. He's going to start grinding up the climbs. But then also he's going to be sitting and spinning on flats and on also on climbs, try and shift into an easier gear. So it's a really good one just because we create power in different ways, and we can create power high torque or low torque, and with cadence the opposite. So I thought that would be a really good one for him. But then on the weekends, we're going to actually get him to do a practice race where he's comparing his times on a descent when he's coasting and when he's pedaling all out like he always used to do.
Oh,
So
cool. Yeah, I'm excited.
yeah, we did this one when we were doing some research studies when you had the gas analyzer on you, Will,
Yeah.
and you were surprised how fast you went when you were coasting down the hill. I think you actually went faster than when you were pedaling, and it's really good to have that in your arsenal of things that you can use when it comes race day or when you're riding with your friends, that you know you can do it and you're not just constantly thinking about sprinting every opportunity. So I use this one with everyone. It's based from beginner up to the World Cup. Like, we're doing this workout just to try it, to gain confidence in our coasting. Sometimes it's slower, and that's okay. We need to figure out when it's slower. So I have him doing this for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
The other thing that I added in week 4 is, this is something that we do as coaches all the time, is we retest our benchmark fitness test. So Steve is going to retest his time trial up a hill on week 4. So it's the same exact workout, but he's going to hopefully go faster. It doesn't always happen that way, but it's good to know. So we retest pretty regularly. And also, what I'm going to do before I make this plan available to everyone is, since Steve is interested in racing enduro, I'm going to also add on the same day a benchmark descent, which is a
Ooh.
little complicated, but I think it's important for Steve, and we have lots of different benchmark tests that we can add. So that'll be in
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And now, Matt, that's 4 weeks done. We've got our, yeah, we're in now. We're in. It's race week, Enduro race week. What do we got?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So I think actually I just need to refresh it, because look, I know we added a workout on the same day. And I
Yeah.
said,
So,
Will, don't forget,
yeah,
we need to, enduro racers
pre-ride.
are practicing.
Pre-ride.
Yeah,
So,
you got to get that pre-ride. So here we are. Let me scroll back to week
yeah.
5.
So what I did, so we've had 4 weeks of the Tuesdays that has his aerobic one. Now the weekend is the race. Saturday, Matt, you've got pre-ride, which is pretty standard. Sunday's the race. No time for running. Not going to try and fit it in. It's just no way. So Tuesday now becomes easy run with strides. Strides are like a controlled sprint. So you're running as fast as you can, focusing on relaxed upper body and high cadence turnover. Just more of a neuromuscular stimulus. 100 meters, 150 meters max. Kind of, it's like a couple light posts, and you want to ideally do it on like a bit of a descent, and that's just trying to again vary that pace. Like, the fitness work has been done, and we just are getting into it, and we have full recoveries between. It just makes like a 30-minute easy run a bit more exciting, especially if you put it in your watch. It counts down, and you're like, oh, here they come. And yeah, so that's just, we're really trying to improve Steve's running economy and biomechanics within this plan. Like, he's not going to do drills. He's not going to spend 15 minutes before his run and afterwards doing some drills or in between. He's just going to get after it. So, including a few sprints, all out kind of like controlled sprints with long recoveries. So it's not like, physiologically demanding. It's just a biomechanical recruitment pattern. And that's what we got on Tuesday. And that's running for Enduro race week.
Sweet. That's cool. So that's actually a bit, I followed up on Wednesday with also a hard ride, and I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, well, that run's actually pretty hard. I don't want him to also be doing a
No,
hard
that
ride.
runs, that's not very hard.
Not very hard?
No, like 100 meters controlled sprints within a 30-minute run with a minimum of like 1 minute recovery is not that hard.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll keep it then, because what I added in is micro sprints.
Yeah.
So micro sprints are super short. They're like 3 seconds. So you go out and you do 2 10 minutes. It can be on the flat or it can be on an uphill, and you do 3 second sprint at the start of every minute for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and you stay seated the whole time and you don't shift. So the beauty of these is that you're creating power across a range of cadence because you're speeding up and your cadence is getting super high by the end of it. But 3 seconds is so short that you don't feel it. It's a neuromuscular effort again, like what you did the day before running. So the beauty of this is when I look at these two workouts that we each put in, is that they're both like super short. So the micro sprints workout is 50 minutes, which is really short, and it's super hard, but the efforts are so tiny that you're going to finish and you'll be able to tell you did something the next day, but you're not going to be absolutely destroyed, because then we have to race on the weekend, and we do our pre-ride on Saturday, and that's when we want to stay fresh, open up the legs a little bit, and go down the hills and check out the trail so we know what to expect. And this is what every enduro racer is doing when they're going out to, and this is part of the beauty of it, because it's fun to check out trails with your friends, and the whole goal is to learn.
Yeah. And throughout this plan, we've kept the Monday rest, Thursday, Friday rest, just as a standard. We know he's heading out on Wednesday. We want to keep Tuesday a consistent, comparable run. So we've just kept that through the same. Yeah, pre-ride Saturday, Sunday he's into it.
Yeah.
And so now we're into half marathon race week.
Yeah, that came up quick, didn't it?
It is surprising. It is. Like, you think, oh yeah, a 6-week training plan. You're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
It's here. Rest Monday for sure. And now I'm not putting a run on Tuesday for Steve. Definitely not. Just
No.
trying to run off of like a pretty big weekend of riding is gonna be it's too much. It's
Yeah.
in terms of the ability to recover. So you've put something in there for him.
Yeah, so I put in a recovery ride. So I would suggest that Steve doesn't do this out on the trails, because he's still going to be a bit tired from the race. So this is a great day to take off, like, and just do nothing if he's still feeling it. But otherwise, he can get out for a super, super easy, what we call a recovery spin, and it pretty much feels like you're doing nothing. And it needs to feel like you're doing nothing. Otherwise, you're doing a training ride, and we
Yeah,
don't
so
want
maybe
that.
he could head out with his kids, Patricia and Jonas.
Giannis, yeah, I forgot their names.
Yeah, no, I wrote them down. So
That's good. So yeah, this is 45 minutes. 30 minutes is fine. No minutes is okay. Like, that's fine, because then it looks like he has a decent run the next day.
yeah, pretty like it's about this run 2 times 400 leading into 1K. Okay, so you got 2 400s, then you got a 1K repeat. So you got that twice through. So it's about a 4K workout, quite demanding, but long recoveries, again, jog, walk recoveries, depending on how fit you are. And the idea here is to get race pace ready. Right, so we're opening up the tank, we're opening up the lungs, and we're getting prepped for a pretty hard effort coming this weekend. It's on the Wednesday. Hopefully, like, he's good, we can recover in enough. He got moving yesterday on the ride, and then we've still got 3 days before the race, so he can afford to go hard, can afford to open up the stride length, range of motion, the lungs, and really just trying to dial in a fast but comfortable pace. And with the longer recoveries, we're not trying to gain fitness. We're really just trying to push this workout. So Matt's scrolling over some of the times, but these are mine, Matt. So so I can run a 5K just under 16 minutes. I can run a 10K but over 30 minutes. And my 1K here for the 2 400s and then a 1K is from 3:10 to 3:30. So 3:30, if I'm not feeling great, I just want to get out and do it, is quite a comfortable pace. It's like a half marathon race pace. Whereas 3:10, if I'm feeling good, I'm getting after it, then that's quite challenging. So there's scope there. And yeah, so there, there'll be a note there for him. It's race week. Look, mate, if this is too hard, pull it back. Just go run. Just do a 30 easy. Just do one repeat of this. Don't do two if it is really challenging. And then he's into it. Couple days off. Day before, I've put the in brackets there optional. Again, it's just 15 minutes for some strides. You just want to jog out, get your kit out, get ready to roll. Just get in the buzz. I put optional because some people are just got to feed up. Maybe they're busy traveling to the event or whatever, and some people love to get out. And if they do, and I don't put something, they could be. It's better just to have something, have optional, so they know. Okay, cool. I don't have to do it. I'm a bit pushed for time. Whereas if they're like, oh, I need to get out. Oh, okay, 15. No one's going to undo their race in 15 minutes. So
yeah, cool.
And then we're in.
That's
I'll put some notes on pacing. And that is a 6-week marathon, half marathon, enduro, mountain bike running, 4 days a week training plan.
Yeah.
Done. And we're going to have that available for anyone to purchase. I don't know, Matt, we'll make it like $30 and we'll give you 15% off, 50% off if you use the code PA podcast. There we go. I'll put it on the website. So yeah, because like TrainingPeaks take like a fee from us. So I mean, at least it just covers some of the costs of using the software. So yeah, not much, but you'll get a pretty awesome 6-week plan. And even if you're like, you can get the workouts that we've done. It's a great way just to see how it's all put together. So go and check that out on performanceadvantagepodcast.com. And that's us.
Yeah, that's
us
it.
for this week. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm glad this is in my thing actually, man.
You're gonna have to do it, aren't you?
Yeah, otherwise I won't go green. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. No, this was really fun. Actually, it's fun to do it, and I think I really hope our listeners are gonna enjoy seeing how we go through this process.
Yeah, because it is actually endless. Like you can just keep going back and forth as well. Like, oh well, maybe but that's and he's set up. He's set up now. So good on you, Steve. Good luck, mate.
Good luck, Steve. All the best.
You'll have fun.
I thought you were going to say something.
I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, I think that's us for this week.
Yeah, no, totally, Matt. It was a good one. I enjoyed that. Something a bit different. So until next week, Matt, have a good weekend out on the trails, and I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah, see you around.
All right. Thanks, guys. Make sure you share the podcast with all your friends. Just from Spotify, you just straight share it to your Instagram story. Give us a shout out, tag at MTB_PhD or at Dr. Will O'Connor, all one word, lowercase, as per usual. Till next week. See you later. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe or sign up to our course. We got 50% off. 50% off. It's proving very popular. TrainingPeaks just shared it. So get after that. We're excited to put that out there. All right, now I'm done. See you later.
See ya.